Hi, guys. There's a viral clip going around of a Holocaust survivor being harassed by a truly odious Israel supporter who brags about killing people and threatens to have her deported.
I am a Holocaust survivor.
So you need to remember what war.
I want to say something to you, though, and that is about what is happening to people in Gaza at the hands of Jews.
As a Holocaust survivor.
At the hands of Jews. People are being killed.
Brainwashed.
No, I'm not brainwashed.
I fought in Israel.
You just said they're only
I fought in Israel.
I would not be proud of it. How many children did you kill?
I killed many. I killed many. And the president is in there, and he can deport you right away.
Where would he deport me to?
You need to report.
He'll be deported to Palestine or El Salvador.
Well, this Holocaust survivor is named Marione Ingram, and she's an amazing person. She's originally from Germany and started to protest the Gaza genocide in front of the White House in October 2023, and she's still protesting it under Trump. And I have the honor of knowing her because she's one of the incredible characters we follow in our documentary about Holocaust survivors speaking out against Israel's genocide in Gaza. And I've also interviewed her for the show, so viewers may recognize her. So we're going to play part of a discussion I had with Marione about how she herself unlearned Zionism. How has your view of Israel changed? Have you always been critical of Israel, or was that more recent?
Pretty much. I have sent letters to various administrations throughout the year protesting treatment of Palestinians, mostly in sense of incarcerations and taking prisoners. And I went to Israel at the behest of Holocaust children. We were rounded up by Zionist groups post-war in a place in Hamburg called Blankenese, which is on the Elbe in a very ritzy section of Hamburg where many rich people live, and where the Wahlberg banking family had 3 villas overlooking the river. And the Wahlbergs went to America, I think in 1938. The villas were taken over by the Nazis, and then the Brits occupied that part of Germany, the northern part of Germany. And then Germans also took it over, and then eventually the villas were restored to the Wahlbergs. And they gave it to the Zionist group who had gone all over Europe to round up Holocaust children, a lot from Bergen-Belsen. There were some children who were so young that they didn't know their names or where they were born, what country they were born in. There were kids who'd seen so much death and, also the death of family and siblings and what have you. So we were just a whole bunch of traumatized children for the first time enough to eat and valued as human beings, being educated, albeit with a very Zionist view, but given affection, we were valued as human beings and cared for. And about 1948, we were called the Children of Blankenese. And everybody was going to go and be smuggled into Palestine to fight, to try to create a safe haven for Jews. And I was one of them. I wanted very much to do that as well. I was also only one of, I think, 2 or 3 kids in that school who still had parents. The rest were all orphans. Yeah, the whole bunch of them were orphans and lived really horrific lives. I had my mother to protect me during the war. I was alone after the war, which was horrible, in a German school. Anyway, the Zionists smuggled the kids to Palestine, and I wanted to go. And so there was a meeting arranged between my parents and my self and the Zionist leaders. And at one point, my parents objected greatly. They did not want me to go. My mother, if she had had the power, she would have put me back to infancy, stuck me back in her uterus to, prevent the ills that I had experienced up to that point. And so one of them said to me that we need intelligent young women like you to produce sons to make country live. And I was only probably about 11 or 12, maybe a little bit younger. And that struck me as totally nuts. And I said, I'm sorry, but that's not why I wanted to go to Palestine. I thought it was a place where we are going to, build, something beautiful and something valuable. So just forget it. I'm not going to Palestine. I don't want any part of that. So that was my first sort of glimpse. I didn't really make a distinction between Zionism and Judaism at that point. So years went by, and in Blankenese, in the odd to early thousands, the Aryan people in Blankenese, one of the people there found out about the villas and wondered and began to wonder why there were no Jews living in Blankenese. And they learned about the villas of the Wahlbergs where the Blankenese children were living and thriving. And they invited probably about 50 of those children to Hamburg at their expense. They raised money by all kinds of ways, which organizations raise money, bake sales and yard sales and asking for donations. And they brought back all the kids still alive for a reunion. And during that reunion, everybody wanted to know why I had not been to Israel. And I explained that I disagreed with the politics of Israel. I don't believe that we should separate ourselves from our neighbors, I thought we needed to try to figure out how to live amiably together, without bombs, without wars and walls, etc. And I said, I would just be there and I would be constantly, fighting on that issue. And their thing was, well, you must realize that if we're ever in the same position as we were during the Holocaust, it's the only place a Jew will be safe. And we need this. And disagreements among Israeli Jews goes on all the time. We are loud and impossible. And so you would fit right in. And so we went to Israel. We stayed in Yaakov's kibbutz, and we went to, all over the country. And we lived in the Arab quarter in Jerusalem, where everybody warned against it. Oh, and Yaakov also showed us the humiliation Palestinians have to go through. And he was personally aware of and knew about a farmer who had dug himself a passageway under this gigantic fence wall to get to his olive grove. And he said, this is, what people have to do. He was not in agreement with Israeli politics and distressed about it. He was in the wars. He was young, so he was in all of the wars as young men were conscripted and young girls. And I found the country, for me, very uncomfortable, and decided, and we actually had lived in Italy for many years, for over 20 years. And so we looked on Israel as a possibility to live, because we love the Mediterranean, and Israel is on the Mediterranean, and we thought it would be a perfect country. And as a Holocaust survivor, I could go to Israel and be, I wouldn't have to go through any kind of rigmarole. I could become an Israeli citizen. It was too distressing, and I just thought that this was not a country that I could live in. I would be constantly battling on one front or another. The night before we left, and by the way, we got to meet a number of Palestinians, especially in Jerusalem, where they showed us houses or places where they had lived, where they had been, pushed out of their places. A woman we met, she was born in a house from which, they were removed. So it was not the country we wanted to live in. The night before we left, we were, of course, then in Tel Aviv to leave back. We were living then in Hamburg, Germany. And I wrote The Hands of War in response to the Iraq War and about the effect of war on children. So it was a memoir about children in war, children of war. In fact, the German translation is Kriegskind, the child of war. We met two young men who yelled out, "Oh, you're Americans." "Are you?" "Yes, we are." And got into a conversation, and I asked them, "Why are you in Tel Aviv?" And they said that they came to Israel because they want to join the army. And I said, "Why do you want to join the army in Israel? You can also join it in America." "No, we want to join it in Israel because we want to kill Arabs." And so deep breath, don't attack Marion, don't say something nasty, don't call them idiots or whatever. And so I said to them, if you heard of two young Arabs, Palestinians, whatever, Arabs coming to Israel, and they say they want to go to Gaza, for example, and they were asked, why are you wanting to join the army or something?
Resistance or whatever. Yeah.
So I thought, would it be okay if they then said, we're joining because we want to kill Jews? Is that justifiable? No, of course not, and I said, but killing Arabs is justifiable. Oh, absolutely, because, always the thing, they want us dead. I've met so many Palestinians, not one of them wants the people that they have met, Jews that they've met. It does not go to, we want Jews to be dead. We don't want Israelis not to exist. But not under the, it's so complicated and yet so easy for me to, also for me easy to say, because I don't have the responsibility of governing a country, and I wouldn't want that responsibility. But I don't think that America should be playing a role in that region other than as peacemakers, other than as people who are intent on having both groups be safe, not in arming one group against the other. Wrong, absolutely the wrong thing to do.